You're listening to Unjiggered, a bartender podcast where we interview highly successful bartenders about their careers, lives, and the passion of bartending. This week, I caught up with Andrew, Bastien and Marcia, the owners and co-founders of Hope Sesame in Guangzhou. We talk about their Swiss hospitality school background, moving to Borneo and running an ice cream stand, as well as the opening of Hope Sesame and a few of their other projects. With this podcast, we want to peel back the mask and discover just how the greats really became the greats. So sit back and enjoy. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Paris.
Welcome to Paris. I'm Andrew, so I'm from Hong Kong. We started Hope Sesame around 3.5 years ago. A little bit of background of me, we went to school with Bastien at École Hôtelier de Lausanne. That was around 10 years ago. So after graduation, we both sort of moved into hotels. We worked in respectively in Hong Kong, Guangzhou, Malaysia, and coincidentally, Bastien moved to Guangzhou, I think 4 years ago, and we're just like, hey, let's do something cool. So we both quit our jobs, and then started Hope Sesame.
So you were like proper hotel people, doing the whole like general manager sort of route before, or?
Yeah, that was the dream. You know, that's sort of when you graduate. That's the only path that you see.
Yeah.
And then did the corporate training, moved on from manager to director levels, and then realized it's not really what we want to do. At the end of the day, we're in meetings a lot. We're in we live in the email world. So the idea is we wanted to really create value in terms of food and beverage, obviously. So we wanted to be more hands-on, to create recipes, to be hands-on again. So hence we started our own bar. But a little bit more than that, we didn't go the traditional route in hiring a designer, think up the concept, and then building the bar. We sort of did it ourselves. So we really wanted to bring that whole DIY bar kind of thing to life.
Yeah.
And everything sort of like was like very personal. Is you don't want to look at like what other people's doing and try just to replicate somewhere else. It's more like how far can we go, like what can we create to make something unique. And I think that's something like in hotels is very tough because you will have a lot of layers of management. A lot of people will influence the directions.
And you think like hotel school sort of set you up for this, or it was more like something you always wanted to do, or?
Yeah, obviously, in terms of networking, obviously, a lot of people help us along the way, and I think the experience, like in hotel school, it's not the traditional university where you pick your major, you become specialized in one or two things. In hotel school, you really learn about everything, from accounting, finance to marketing, how to clean properly, working, stewarding. So that all sort of prepared when we first opened the bar. So we're happy to do everything. We started, three of us, cleaning the toilets, buying groceries from the markets, making drinks, closing the bar, cleaning, marketing, going to the bank, depositing money, just basically doing everything. Yeah. That hotel school sort of taught us.
Yeah.
And I think like
cleaning the closets.
Yeah. I think the school sort of like they not necessarily teach you everything how to do it, but they sort of like open your eyes on there's a lot of like different things to look at.
Yeah. And
for example, like your marketing, like a class in the school, there will be like a lot of like theories and so on. But then when you're actually starting to doing it, you'd be like, wait, that teacher actually was like telling us something. It sort of like makes sense once you have to go deeper in it.
You graduated from school, and then what happened after that?
Coincidentally, Bastien wanted to go to China, so then we moved back to China and then met Andrew. That's how we become a looping together.
Yeah, so it was like 4 years in Borneo. Working for like Shangri-La
in Borneo.
Yeah, like resorts, something like very. It's not a place you go there and you think you're gonna be so long there.
And what were you guys doing in Borneo?
So I was in like a F&B,
yeah.
In charge of like some restaurants and bar, ice cream bar, like different things. A lot of like projects.
Yeah.
I was in sales.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you had an ice cream bar in Borneo.
Which was making more money than the fine dining Italian restaurant.
Really?
Yeah.
So
It's a pool ice cream bar, but then that was a center.
Then it's all tourists and hotel guests? Or?
yeah, it's like it's a big hotel. It's like 500 rooms. Some months it would be like over 90% average occupancy.
Wow.
So it's a big machine.
And Andrew, you went to Borneo as well? Or?
No, I've started the. After graduation, I moved to Guangzhou with Grand Hyatt. So I did the management training program, moved up to assistant manager, and then got transferred to Hong Kong Grand Hyatt as assistant director of F&B. So I stayed there for around 2 years and decided that's not really for me. I think you've seen it all, you've done it, it's long hours, and as I said, like meetings and living on the phone. You're always one call away to sort of emergency, which at that time seems a big deal, always. Bring it in meetings.
If it's a 5-star hotel, everything's like crisis mode.
Which is great, which is actually quite interesting. Because when we first started the bar, we were like, screw all that. We're not going to do any of those. We're going to keep it very streamlined. Everything's going to be very, very efficient. I think like, at first we achieved that, and that was great. You know, everything was moving very quickly. But then we realized, you know, we've opened a new cafe. We have quite a few consultancy projects, and we realized we do actually need quite a bit of organization and all that like bureaucracy. Actually, like we could streamline that a little bit, but in the sense that you still sort of need that, you know, because you don't want to do everything yourself. You have to delegate, and when you delegate to someone who's not yourself, you realize, okay, you need to put in a little bit of control. You need to put in a little bit of parameters. Like they have to always report back to you. So hence, you know, all the meetings. So we're still working on it. I think it's a work in progress. But anyway, so after leaving Grand Hyatt Hong Kong, came back to Guangzhou, and I started my own restaurant. It's a Vietnamese restaurant. Don't ask me why. I've never been to Vietnam. Just loved Vietnamese food so much. I just started a restaurant. And then afterwards, Bastien moved to Guangzhou. I think after 1 year at Shangri-La.
Yeah, exactly. It was like we joined Shangri-La in Guangzhou, like the GM in the hotel that we used to move in to work in Malaysia, moved to Guangzhou, China, and he was like, "Guys, do you want to come over?" And he offered both me and Marcia like a good position. It was like what we're like sort of like aiming for. So we moved to Shanghai in Guangzhou and then worked there for a year.
And it's a city hotel, so the style is very, very different.
So no ice cream bars. Yeah.
No ice cream bars.
No ice cream bars.
Yeah.
That was the main reason why they left. You know.
So people want to sort of know how the bar came about. Like, did you go for a drink and they just decide we should open a bar, like in the movies, or like?
well, not really. I think we went to. It's very funny because at first we were looking to open something. We didn't know exactly what. It would have been a restaurant or a bar or cafe. And then when we saw the current location of Hope Sesame, which is in a really old building, sort of 10 minutes away from the CBD and such, it's in quite a historic area. And when we walked into the space and we thought, okay, let's do tasting menu.
Yeah,
it was a really stupid idea. Like nobody should ever do that right off the bat. You know. Just do tasting menu restaurant. So we did a bit of fitting out, you know, a little bit of computer designs, trying to sort of fit in the kitchen, fit in the tables. Yeah. And we realized
it's too small. Already,
it was too small.
Yeah, it was like we're like trying to squeeze the kitchen in so many different ways. It's a bit like playing Tetris, and you're like, no, it doesn't work. We're missing a meter, and here it doesn't work. We're missing half a meter. So you're just trying in so many ways and it doesn't work.
Worse was because that building was a historical building, so in the whole street, that building is the oldest one, so it's not a structured building, so it's all by red brick. And it was like being built in 1919. For Chinese, it's a long time. And so by the time the two guys work out the layout, and then the contractor comes in, try to break the wall of one of the wall to make it bigger than fit everything. And then the contractor is like, no, if you break this wall, the whole building falls. And we are like...
So we were just almost like a meter away from opening a restaurant and not having Hope Sesame.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then end up, so the original building actually kept our door was like very light inside, and we wasn't planning to open a speakeasy eventually, but then that's the only door you can connect the two parts of the room. So speakeasy
so I
comes
think
up.
So it's like accident.
There's so many.
Dated.
There's so many perfect accidents
Yeah.
which end up with Hope Sesame. If one of them made sense in terms of the kitchen, it would have the bar. Yeah.
We were eating table.
Yeah, we probably all gone back to work in hotels.
So, do you have any history in bartending or any bar background or?
Bastien.
Well, Bastien did. He was the only one who knew how to make a drink back then. Yeah.
Yeah, because before I joined EHL, I worked for like 3-4 years in bars in Switzerland and then in Canada.
Okay.
I was also I joined like the Swiss Bartender Association, the SBU. It's a long story, but I became like vice president when I was like 22 years old.
Wow.
And then and it was like there's a lot of things like competition and so on. But then because like I left for like maybe 7 years between like the 2 years in EHL and then after 5 years in Shangri-La, I was like completely away from the industry. So it was, you know how to shake, but the trend changed, the way of things changed. So it's pretty much like we had to start from scratch.
Wow.
That
Because
was-
we didn't know anyone in the industry.
Yeah.
It was sort of new country for a lot, but for us, and so basically we had to figure out what brands are in the country, what suppliers are there, what is the competition kind of like what kind of bars are in the city. We have to know everyone again. Which is actually quite refreshing. It was quite fun.
And you know, like where sometime like a bartender will leave his bar and then slowly like open his own place right after, and he knows everyone. Where you start from scratch, you have no, you know, you have to really think, okay, what we're gonna do.
Wow.
You cannot make drinks that we made 7-8 years ago.
But that really gave us a complete blank canvas. So we didn't have any constraints. We didn't have any previous experience of saying, oh, we must do a martini bar, we must do classics. Basically, we just wanted to do whatever we wanted. But obviously, we also travel a lot, so we see a lot of cocktail bars. We know what we like. We know what sort of direction we want to go. And without external investments as well, it was just a project between us. We could make any decisions that we want to.
So like literally everything is yours. It's
Yes.
your baby.
Yeah,
Wow.
besides the building.
Yeah.
Work on that. Yeah.
So like, what challenges did you face then? I mean, like, what was the bar scene like in Guangzhou? Like,
I think-
what did you have access to?
I think one of the key parts is like we looked at like in Guangzhou like what's the other bars, but then we really didn't put the target to be strong in Guangzhou. The idea was more like, can we aim to go, you know, like can we be on par with the bar in Singapore or I don't know, in London or something, like very trying to aim high.
Yeah.
So it's like when you started, you're like very just looking at yourself, like at what we do. I would say maybe for almost a year, we didn't really know how does it work with like marketing, with like Instagram, with like, it was just, you know, try to go like from day to day, try to improve, try to work on new flavors, new recipe, new menus.
I think at first, like when we first started, until now, the Guangzhou cocktail scene is still sort of, it's very, very slow. I mean, it's a city of 25 million people, but I would say the cocktail bar scene is very quite traditional, and people are very, very conservative when it comes to opening new concepts there. Yeah. There are cities that's 1 hour away from Guangzhou, for example, Shenzhen. We have cocktail bars opening up every single week. So people are a little bit more cautious when they try to open a business in Guangzhou. But for us, it's sort of an opportunity as well because there's not too many competition. And if we sort of maintain and keep creating, delivering new values to our customers, they will keep coming back. And sort of become the place you have to be, like when you come to Guangzhou. So a lot of friends, when they have friends coming from outside of Borneo, and they always bring them to Hope Sesame. So that's sort of created a great opportunity for us.
The idea is like there's different aspects of Hope Sesame. The first one is a speakeasy. It was like the first one in like the south of China, but we wanted to make it very raw, the entrance. Like you would swear it's not a bar. It's not like overly clean and so on. So the first part is like that speakeasy aspect where you enter like sort of like a vintage like a Cantonese cafe.
Okay.
Something very old school with like a bit random, which also serve as like a smoking area for the bar. Then once you find your way in, you have like two parts of the bar. You have like one like the bar side, which is a bit more like lively with like a big bar counter for like 12 seats. And then a small like sort of like we call it like a hammam between us, like a small lounge sofa area. So this is like a 32-seat bar, and then there's another like completely hidden wall that you push, and then you end up in a jazz room. 24-seat, very intimate. It's you have like live jazz every single night. There's a lot of like dimension, I would say, in Hope Sesame.
Yeah.
There's a back with a small lab kitchen / gin room, where people can go inside and like discover techniques and then discover flavors of what we do.
I guess sort of like once you open, how is it received? I mean, you know, what is like the local drinking culture like over there?
So for us, we were open beside we in hotel industry. So a lot of hotel guests and friends, and mostly it's trade people comes to our bar because they're curious about what we do.
Yeah.
And I think how long does it took to start to be busy? Like
since day one, I think.
What?
But because we kind of like really literally the first one in Canton to had that speakeasy, that type of speakeasy. You need to search. There's a complete like a humble entrance. There's nothing, no hint. And then so in the beginning, a lot of people discovered it, and they would just speak to other friends to search for our place.
And I think one thing that we noticed is like if you sort of take the Asia 50 best ranking and then you sort of like put them geographically, you guys are like by yourself really almost.
Well, I think it's sort of a blessing in disguise, because we are in a city that's not very traditional cocktail focused, so that forces us to do a lot more, work a lot harder, travel a lot more than other places will have to. For example, if your bar is in Hong Kong, you naturally get a lot of industry people coming by. They might visit one or two bars, and then they will pass by yours as well. But for us, it's someone wants to come to Hope Sesame, they have to come to Guangzhou specifically, and traditionally there's no reason to come to Guangzhou besides trading and fairs. Yeah. So it gives us actually a unique point. So whoever comes to Guangzhou comes for us. So they arrive at the airport, so we can basically pick them up from the airport. We can show them to the hotel.
This is your hospitality background now.
Exactly. That's something that comes naturally to us. Yeah. Then we show them around the city, go for a good Cantonese food, do a small bar tour. Then basically we can show them the best side of the city. Whereas in Hong Kong, people will be, I want to go here, I want to go there, I want to check out this bar. They have their own schedule already. Whereas Guangzhou, it's completely up to us. So that really gave us an edge. So if you ask anyone who's been to our bar or done the guest shift in a bar, they would say, the guys from Hope Sesame like really took care of us from arrival to departure, because there's no other. They didn't know anyone in the city. They were all ours. So it gave us a great opportunity.
I think most of the time they didn't even know where is the city.
Yeah, exactly. They would just basically hop on a car that Hope Sesame sent, and then just arrive here, eat this, drink that, sleep there.
And a lot of guests, for example, like nowadays it's getting easier to travel. Like for example, in Guangzhou, like if you're just flying over, you don't need like a Chinese visa. Okay. It can be like 72 hours or 100 hours without Chinese visa. So it's like now some people like they actually like maybe fly to Australia or like to different parts of the world, and they would do a stopover in Guangzhou. They will come with the luggage straight from the airport to Hope Sesame. Be like, I'm here just I want to say hi and have some drinks.
Really?
And then they book a hotel very close from us, which many times they get. Like Hope Sesame is in a very old part of town, where there's a lot of like army building and old generals and so on. So a lot of hotels right around us, they don't have like a license for foreigners. So it's only if you're Chinese you can stay in these hotels.
Really?
The one just really close to us. So a lot of foreigners, we actually book an hotel like just next door from us, and then be like, oh crap, and then ask for help, like where can I stay?
I see some like a tour package company coming together.
So we now have the bar, we have the cafe, the restaurant, and the hotel's probably going to come soon.
Yeah, we need an Airbnb.
Airline.
A limousine company.
So apart from Bastien having some bar background, like did you have to do some bar courses, or like how did you sort of learn to do everything?
Well, I think it's sort of something that comes quite natural. Like bartending is coming from a guy who has no bartending background. It's the skill set is you have to do it a lot. It's a repetitive process. If you practice a lot, you make a lot of drinks every night, then it sort of comes naturally. I think it's down to more the flavors, the combination, which we know from doing F&B, cook a lot of cooking. You understand flavors, balance of drinks, and I think the most important is that you're quite genuine if you bartend. If you don't have a lot of like many years of experience, you have to be genuine in your service. You have to be very genuine in what you do. And I think also when you come into bar, you look a little bit more for service rather than the flair of the bartenders. Nowadays, you tend to have a lot of cocktail bars where it's all pre-batch stuff, a lot of stirring, because for consistency purposes. So basically, you don't see a lot of flair bartending anymore. So basically, what we did was we tried to enhance this service point of view. We chat a lot with the guests. We make sure everyone has where we explain the menu properly. So I think when guests comes in, they don't really think, oh, these guys are not really bartenders, but because the service they receive, the drinks they had, like so good that they sort of forgets that. But afterwards, like I think 3.5 years behind the bar every night, so it comes to you, how to mix and throw a drink, how to shake a drink.
You like dream about making daiquiris and things.
Well, you should see the videos we did last night.
Yeah, the blind one.
We did some blind daiquiris. It's quite fun, yeah.
I wanted to touch on, you guys have some consulting projects with Mandarin and some other companies. Like, how did that come about, and can you just explain a bit about that?
I think it came quite naturally when our consultancy projects are mostly hotels, 5-star hotels, because they understand that we have a 5-star hotel background. We understand the process of signing the contracts, from signing the contract, from purchasing, from sourcing ingredients, from doing trainings in hotels, what hotels can do, cannot do, expectations of hotels. Yeah. So I think after all that, they understand that we will be the perfect candidates for these kind of projects. So we started off doing one of our main projects is the Mandarin Oriental in Beijing. That really was one of our best experience, to be honest. This is it's very lame to say this, but this is definitely a win-win situation where the hotel, it was a pre-opening hotel. Yeah. We had a sort of a blank canvas that we can do whatever we want. The hotel management was incredibly supportive.
Yeah.
Because they've been to our bar, they've seen what we can do. And I think they were quite smart because they identify that they're not in the best location. I mean, they are in Guangzhou, which is traditionally the center of Beijing. But it's not in terms of F&B or like trendy bars and stuff. So they really had to have a really banging concept from the start. Otherwise, it would just become another lobby hotel bar kind of thing. So they really interested us in terms of the menu design, the main creative direction, photography, from using all the crazy techniques like buying rotovap, buying centrifuges, where nobody had at the same time in Beijing. Yeah. So we were allowed to do all that, and they were we loved the team because they were so eager to learn. They didn't have a head bartender who had 20 years experience. They had a young guy who's worked a couple years in decent bars. This is his first sort of head barman job, where he's very eager to prove himself. So we call it lucky break, really.
And also like the general manager, he's also from EHL.
Yeah.
So it's like when we talk with him, he was like not trying to be I'm the general manager of like a beautiful hotels, but more like we're talking together. What can you bring us? And we listen, and we're here to work with you guys, rather than we just hiring you for like do this, do that, and then that's good enough. So I think
it felt like partnership.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
It wasn't really okay. We work for you guys. It felt like there was mutual respect, and now you see the bar. It's packed every night. It's doing very, very well.
Yeah, we hear about it a lot.
Yeah, I think it was one of the. I would say that it's not the case every time because it's a new hotel. A lot of things like we can just buy whatever we propose. Like we do have projects where the hotel's been open for many years and we've sort of come in as a consultancy role where we see more challenges. But that is where our hotel background comes in, where we understand that we cannot change the entire bar program in a day. We cannot change all your glasswares in a day. You know, we have to dig down, we have to go to the storage, see what's left over, what can we use creatively, which is also a great challenge for us as well. And when that bar does well, it's even a better feeling because we had a I would say it's a difficult situation and we turn it around.
Oh wow!
Because also like we don't want to be a consulting company. We want to be like more like doing partnership with a few hotels across China. The idea is really like to give a lot to each place, so it's sort of one in a city, rather than just taking a lot of project and you know you start to becoming like copy paste and then you lose that edge or that passion, I would say.
So we all went to EHL. How did the sort of old school hospitality people react to you're going to open a cocktail bar in Guangzhou? Like,
it's actually rather interesting because there are more and more hotels, 5-star hotels in China or any place around the world looking for consultancy. So I think at first people would say the old school hospitality people, they're like, oh, why would you throw away your opportunity to become a GM one day? You know, it's a very promising career you have. A lot of them wouldn't understand. But I think in China nowadays, it's quite important that everything's moving so quickly. There's so many opportunities to establish yourself in terms of young entrepreneurs. I think it's a great opportunity for us just to start something, and it's a great platform, great city that we can open our own bar without massive capital. It's something that's very much it's actually a very rewarding kind of experience. If you create something with value, with creativity, with great service, people come back.
Yeah.
It's not, for example, if you do the same thing in London, you give the same values, you might not get rewarded with a lot of returning guests because there's so many competition out there. But I think in China, you still do. So which is why we took the chance to open our own bar. At first, people obviously don't understand why, but now I think they do. And then now a lot of the old school hospitality is like, oh, can we actually get some help from you guys as well?
Yeah.
Because we understand that the industry is changing so fast that a lot of the large hotel groups don't have the right support from the head office to all the properties in the different cities, especially in China.
So you're on tour in Europe now. What sort of where are you going? What are you doing? What are you trying to?
So do a quick recap of the tour.
Yeah, exactly.
So we started off in London. We did a shift in Swift, in Artesian, and then we're here in Paris. Last night was Danico. Today we're doing a shift at Candelaria, and then tomorrow we're going to Lausanne doing a speech and a seminar for the students. Then we're off to Madrid at 1862 Dry Bar and Salmon Guru. And after that, we're flying back to London. We're actually flying to Kiev for the Barometer Bar Show. And after that, we're flying back to London for a shift at Lucky Cane and the Quaglinos. And then we're off to Barcelona, doing a shift at Malloy Bar. And after that, we're going to the BCB in Berlin. Then we're heading back. So that's quite a trip.
It's a big tour.
Yeah. And I can just imagine you coming to the airport with all your preps and everything for 3 weeks.
We travel with, I think, 100 kilo of luggage.
Well, more.
Yeah, if not more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably 150
So
kg.
Yeah, I've got
50
45 or 50 already. Like,
Yeah.
myself.
Okay, so 50 each people.
Wow.
On that, yeah.
And then when you go back, you're gonna have like 10 empty suitcases and.
That is the point.
That's the shopping space.
Exactly. We've been told we have to use up all the prep. Because the idea is we don't travel like for guest shifts. We want to bring really what we do in Hope Sesame and to any bar. No matter whether they have the same equipment or not, we're gonna make sure that we do the same consistency of drinks. So we travel with like micro distillery. We have like label printers. We bring our own sous vide. Pretty much like glassware containers to menus.
A lot of ingredients.
Yeah, a lot of spices, ingredients that we have homemade in Guangzhou. Our own coffee was roasted in house. So we try to just bring a lot because we understand that not every bar has the same access to the same resources that we have.
Also, like one thing is like I think we're doing around 13 shifts, but then the idea was to look at like each individual bar, what they do, what style, like are they like a very classy bar, or they more edgy, or they more like creative, and then from there we basically like created or like selected drinks that really like fit the place. So, and another thing is like in each cities, if we're doing like for like 2 guest shifts, the 2 guest shifts have to be very different. So completely different drinks. Because if it's the same, first of all, like each bar would not be that happy that we're just doing exactly the same in 2 different places.
Yeah.
Which is very fair. And then also for the guests, if you come the first night, we tell you come tomorrow is the same 4 drinks that you had.
So you're doing 13 shifts with 4 different drinks in each shift?
Pretty much. It's like we choose like I would say around maybe 25 cocktails in total, and then there would be like between 4, 5, even 6 cocktails in bars.
That's why we had the green menu and the edible menu. So the green menu is an overall catalog. So you have basically the whole tour drinks, and then guests could have a look and have some expectation, know what we do. And the small menu is for that bar that night.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then the one thing is like we try in this tour to have a few sort of like I would say like message of like what we do and what. But then we try to go a little bit further. And one of the ways just to make it fun with the guests, because I believe when it's fun, people will remember better.
Yeah.
So instead of printing all our books for every bar, and because everyone have a different drinks, it would be a lot of waste. Like you print 20 menus and then you just throw it in the garbage at the end of the night. Then we printed like about like 30, and we keep those 30 all the way around. We always give 1 or 2 maybe to the bar or like to a guest if they want to bring it. But then every night we have like a small menu, and this menu is like edible. It's like a rice paper. There's a bit of like a tomato artichoke on the side. So you tell the guests, look, this is our menu for tonight. Once you choose your drinks, please, feel free to eat it. and it's called like leave no trace. So
Yeah, it's a bit more than just no plastic straws, right?
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, guests comes to bar for the service, for the experience. So we have to be creative in the sense of still being sustainable, still doing good, but also in a creative way.
So why are you doing this for Flor de Caña then?
Flor de Caña is a brand like I would say very close to us. We started 3 years ago with the local importer in China, Tommy. At first he was not a friend, he was just an importer, like there's many in China. And then we started to buy from him different things, started to work with him more and more. And this person was just so on point, so on top of everything. At the same time we learned a bit more about the brand, about what they're doing. Is a good partnership where we can do what we want. We don't get forced, like to have like a certain speech or a certain format or certain drinks to promote.
Yeah.
We do whatever we want, and then at the same time they always like there if we need. I think you need partners that not try to force their marketing or their branding on you, but more who's trying to help you, and then you try to help back in whatever way you want.
So tell me about your other projects you have going on.
So we also opened a traditional Italian cafe, aperitivo bar with a pasta bar inbuilt in it. It was around 6 months ago. So this is located 5 minutes away from Hope Sesame. we found a building that dates over 100 years ago. It's sort of a mansion with 4 stories. So on the first floor we have Charlie's, which is the Chinese cafe, where we do we source Chinese coffee beans. We roast in-house. We do a lot of traditional style Italian coffee. So instead of a lot of cold drips or nitro coffee, we do a lot of research. We go back to the small towns of Italy, find historic or traditional coffee recipes that we sort of recreate in a modern setting in Guangzhou.
Yeah.
Whereas and for the cocktail side, we do a lot of coffee cocktails that it makes so much sense that we roast the coffee, make it into espresso liqueur, make it into a coffee cocktail, and so it's sort of full circle, going from the source to the glassware kind of thing. And then our second floor is a pasta bar, so fresh pasta is made every day. And then the third floor and the top floor is a event space at the moment.
Well, I'll send Michele over to taste all your Italian. See if it passed the authentic test.
Because we are all very Italian here at heart.
No, and also very exciting project, but very also personal of like what we like to do. And like some people will step in Charlie's, they don't know is us behind, and they will feel there's some similarities with Hope Sesame, even though it's completely different the design.
Wow.
Yeah. Because we aren't just we don't also want to be portrayed just as bartenders, because we are just overall F&B enthusiasts. We like every aspect of F&B. We like the food, we like the coffee, we like the bars and cocktails and wines. So we wanted something that sort of represent us. So that's why we have a lot of different elements, and the next project might not be any spirits or alcohol related. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right?
Wow, it's exciting.
Yeah.
So just to end, we always ask everybody the same question. What's the last drink that you would have before you die? You could have one more drink, and that was it. Okay,
for me, it's a whiskey highball.
Whiskey highball?
Yes.
For me, it's the champagne. A nice glass of champagne.
Yeah. Gin drink.
Gin?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks for coming on,
so
guys.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed our interview with the guys from Hope Sesame. We are Unjiggered_media on Instagram, and you can follow our personal accounts at mmariotti89 for Michele, Alex J. Murphy for myself, and Adrian Bessa for Adrian. Thank you for listening.